Hi, my name's Judi Perreault, and my dad was Thomas Guy Grigsby, or Grig as he was known in the RAF during the war. He joined the RAF in 1939 and after training was posted to a Canadian Aircrew Squadron 423, flying Sunderland Flying Boats based at Castle Archdale in Northern Ireland. This is his recount of one of the missions that they flew. The date, July 12th, 1944. It began with a call at 3:25 a.m. by the duty caller. We struggled into our flying kit, not saying much to each other as we dressed. About 15 minutes after the call, transport arrived to take us to the aircrew restaurant for the customary breakfast of bacon and eggs, which at times could turn the strongest stomach. While we went to the operations room, the gunner and the engineer collected our flying rations. At the briefing, we received details of the patrol, intelligence, signals and weather forecast. Next stop was the jetty to board the launch to ferry us out to the aircraft. On boarding, we dispersed to our flight positions to check out our equipment. The choice of patrol weather conditions en route and time of day could be a nail-biting experience. It could be that we would be making for the Spanish coast, cruising at about 120 knots in brilliant sunshine with the usual nervous twitch in one's system at the prospect of meeting German fighters. Sometimes patrols were carried out in stormy, turbulent conditions, flying as low as 50 feet over the sea for several hours. Now back to the trip that I was going to tell you about. The given takeoff time was 5:25 a.m. The engine roared and the takeoff, which I always found thrilling, began. The control stick was pulled back and the bow came up as the throttles were eased back in pairs. The spray pounding off the hull and the floats skimming the water. Finally, the boat lifted majestically. A few hours into the patrol, we contacted the Queen Mary, a large liner full of Canadians and Americans on their way to England. We identified ourselves by flashing them the letter of the day and continued on our parole into the North Atlantic. At about 9:30 a.m., the second pilot sighted a U-boat 3 miles away and on the starboard side of the plane. The skipper took control and the navigator gave me a flash report to send to the area combined headquarters. The klaxon sounded to inform the crew members that we were about to attack. The U-boat had seen us and was about to submerge. We dropped to attack height and the bomb doors, situated just under the wings, opened. The 8th depth charges ran out under the wings. The skipper pressed the button to release 4 of the depth charges, each containing 450 pounds of explosive, which were set to go off at a certain depth in the water. You never dropped all 8 at once in case you needed to make another attack. After the attack, there was lots of froth, oil and yellow wreckage. We sent out some homing signals and homed 4 other aircraft onto the scene. After flying around the attack area for some time, the gas in our tanks was getting too low for comfort, so we had to leave and return to the base. We arrived back at 1925, making that a patrol of 14 hours long. Pictures were taken by the aircraft camera, which operated at the same time as the depth charges were released. People have sometimes asked me if I was frightened. The answer I give is that anyone who says he was never afraid is lying. But mostly I found you were afraid afterwards, because when things were happening, you were too busy doing the things you were trained to do to be afraid. We who flew in the flying boats are members of the Webfooters Club and proud to be members. I remember close friendships from the 423 squadron who didn't make it back. And like most veterans of any war, we didn't need a special time to remember them because their memory is always with us.